Yeah. Rick and Morty. Yeah. Walked in the club, and it's just me and my shorty. A. Gripping on my tool. Yeah, I'm gripping on my 40. Shooting that 3, yeah, you know I'm very sporty. Swish. Ballin' like a sport. Dunkin' on the court. Got this badass bitch. Yeah, she's going to New York. Yeah. Dropping off the top of a brand new Porsche. Porsche? Brand new Porsche, yeah, the roof got divorced. Yeah. Richard and Mortimer is a TV show about Richard and Mortimer as they stumble and figure out the struggles of paying taxes in America. Rick and Morty, on the other hand, I think is a pretty good show. Well, it's Rick and Morty time. So today I kind of just want to ramble about Rick and Morty. I don't really have an overall point to this video. I just kind of want to talk about the show a bit and just kind of my feelings, my thoughts, and everything about it. So put this on in the background or don't. I don't control you, but you know, if you want to stick around and watch it, it should be fun. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but I don't think Rick and Morty was ever supposed to have the massive mainstream appeal that it had. You see, I think Rick and Morty would have really benefited if it stayed a pretty, I don't want to say niche because that doesn't sound it, but a show with a very cult, small following as opposed to the massive mainstream appeal it had. I mean, back during 2016 to 2018, you could not go anywhere without seeing Rick and Morty. I mean, I have this setting spray, this fucking Pickle Rick setting spray, that I thought would be funny to own and use as part of my makeup, because it's like, oh, what makeup do you use? Pickle Rick setting spray. And then I completely forgot that I despise pickles, and I absolutely hate it, so I just have Pickle Rick staring at me in bed all night. Also, why am I standing here in front of my closet than where I was last time when I'm in finally a permanent piece of accommodation? I'll show you why. I currently have 90 Robux wig there, and also I'm just too lazy to clean up my desk for the video. Okay, so we're standing here instead, alright? Shut up, it's my channel. And every single mufti day when I was a kid in school, my best friend would always wear this fucking shirt. And Ryan, I'm gonna say this, 7 and 8 years since we were in year 7, that shirt was fucking ugly, okay? And, okay. So, I think there's no argument that season 1 and 2 of Rick and Morty was a fucking incredible run of TV, okay? You had so many amazing episodes, like, from episodes, like, honestly, I consider the pilot to be one of the best episodes of Rick and Morty. I kind of wish they more stuck a little bit in that route of, like, the semi-hidden Rick is hiding more the adventures from the family. I get why they didn't do that. And then also you have episodes like, the simulation episode and the yada yada, you know, you've got so many great episodes from season 1 and 2 of Rick and Morty. The Total Recall of being one of the best was it Total Recall? The one, you know the one I'm putting, I've got clips on the side of me while I'm speaking. And it's just funny, and then, you know, it was just funny, the jokes pretty regularly landed, and then I feel like the issue that Rick and Morty got caught up in its own hype. It went from being, haha, let's tell good joke, to, haha, let's meta-humor our way out. And meta-humor's fine, but meta-humor needs to be used very sparingly, right? The jokes became lazy, going from, haha, I laugh at thing, to, haha, audience, let's laugh and thing, now clap your Rick and Morty Funko Pops together, please. And, you know, after it got caught up in a bit of a hype, I still was watching season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6, because I thought it was fine, minus some incredibly obvious issues. But is it weird to say that I think that Rick and Morty is in a bit of a renaissance at the moment? Not in terms of mainstream appeal. I don't think it's ever going to reach that level that it did back in 2017, 2018, right? Where everyone was talking about Rick and Morty. It was the biggest show on TV at the time. But I think in terms of quality, it's getting back to the point of when the show first started. See, I could keep watching The Funny Pickle Man every single year, and, you know, I could definitely tell that there was something wrong. And some of those jokes were funny. I think the season 4 finale is absolutely hysterical, especially this whole bit with Jerry. I found that so funny, and I still do. And there was some good ideas, and then you had the issues like Naruto the giant incest baby, or the self-cessed episode between Beths and all this stuff. But then they made the big mistake of teasing at a story. And not just any story, a really good story. But then they didn't want to do that, but then the fans really wanted to see that really good story. And as a fan of the show, it felt really insulting to be invested in the characters, because writers, here's a writing opinion, if you want to be invested in the characters, well, if you want to be invested in a show, it kind of sucks to be made fun of that you're invested in the show, right? Ugh. Charlie, how do you do with this hair every single day, man? Nah, it's actually... Also, why did I choose to do this? I don't know, thought it was funny. But, you see, for me, I think that from season 5 onwards, the show has kind of found its groove again. You see... And it felt like the show had found a good mix between what the fans wanted and what Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland wanted. Before, the Justin Roiland shit went down, which, whatever. Which is that it seems like, at least season 7, I can't remember season 6 off the top of my head, but season 7 and season 8 so far, it seems like they're striking a chord of a few serialized episodes every single season with a majority of episodic, which that works really fucking well, okay? I think everyone can agree on that. But it's not even just the fact that they found the balance with the fans. I think the thing that I really absolutely like about Rick and Morty now is that all the characters work really well. You see, here's a hot take, okay? When I'm watching a TV show, the one thing especially when I'm watching a family sitcom like Rick and Morty is, the one thing I want is to like the family, to like the characters, okay? Season 1 and 2 and 3, Beth and Jerry, I hated them. They were so infuriating, insufferable. I can understand having characters, realistic characters, but when it's all the time, it's not fun to watch on TV, right? It's a bit too reminding for some people. And I think that's what season 4 has done a really good job, is that they've worked on specifically the characters. And I think, for example, I'm going to use this example on this tangent, Jerry, I think, has had the best development in the show. Because from season 4, you got that really good episode where he's turning down Rick's help and he's trying to do it himself, right? And they've continued that trend, and he's developed into, honestly, my favorite character on the show, where he's not... he's not this cool badass, he's still a coward, but he's willing, but he is willing to try and make that step and to be that hero if he needs to be. And I think the writers have really discovered that Jerry and Rick is just a really good combination, okay? They're one of my favorite pairings of the show. They just naturally have the best chemistry, I feel like, outside of Rick and Morty. They bounce off each other, their jabs at each other and everything are really good. And I also like the fact that they've developed the fact that Rick actually cares for Jerry now into the show. But though it still felt while the show was going on that it was still going downwards, that I genuinely didn't see it getting picked up past the initial 10-season era, which back in season 6, it's insane to say the show's going on for at least 4 more seasons, even though it's not popular anymore. Now, I do want to say, as much as I'm glazing the show at the moment, I think that the season 7 had a really bad start, okay? Mr. Poopy Butthole, I think everyone can agree, isn't actually a good character, he's just a funny gag. So focusing an episode around him is unneeded and nobody actually wants to see that. But I think that season 7 had, honestly, 2 of my favorite episodes of the entire show. Season 7, episode 4, That's a More, has one of the most fucked concepts for a TV show episode I've seen, about when a planet where people kill themselves, they turn into spaghetti. Their insides turn into spaghetti. And honestly, it's genuinely a really fucked episode, but it's also genuinely really funny in terms of, the satire that it's going for, or the commentary that it exists, and all that in between. You get followed up by the season 7 episode. Okay, so specifically, from about the midpoint of season 7, they go on a really good run of That's a More, and then the Rick Prime episode, and then my personal favorite, Rick Fending Your Mort, okay? And I'm going to just talk about that for a second. See, one thing in TV shows I don't like is clip shows, okay? It's something I've never enjoyed. I don't like because clip shows, the whole jokes are always being like, oh, look at this happened in the show, and oh no, now this hasn't happened in the show, and oh, look at all these things that has happened in the show that you haven't seen. And there's something about that to me that I just don't enjoy, right? You see, it's the fact that I think I truly would rather see those episodes be developed, and I would rather them actually get to see those stories. But then, Rick Fending Your Mort came out, and I watched that, and I watched it regularly as an episode of TV. I've watched it unironically, I think 4 times in the past week, because it's just fucking funny. All the jokes in that episode hit for me, okay? And I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's the Observer's fuck-ass voices, or if it's just the whole, you know, well, yeah, the Observer's fuck-ass voices are funny, and the delivery of it, and just how deadpan they are, and also just a lot of the smaller jokes inside of it I find so hilarious. And I quite appreciate that, because even the show kind of admits, hey, this kind of sucks and we don't want to do this. Or, well, more or less the character's like, hey, can we just stop doing a clip show? Can we just do something else instead? And that's something I found quite funny in terms of meta humor, because I could relate to Rick and Morty, is that I don't like clip shows as a concept, okay? I would rather see actual full-fledged episodes. And then they are just tired of seeing this being just trying to make one-liners out of what they've done, which is what most clip shows are, right? Again, I won't even lie and say that they don't kind of lose the footing from that midway point in season 7. Okay, you had a pretty bad run of that fucking Quado episode. I haven't seen, I think, is it Total Recall that the movie that it's based on? I haven't seen that, so maybe it just didn't hit for me. And then you had the episode that said, what if we just take a simple gag from season 2 and make it to a whole episode? Which, listen, I can appreciate the thoughts, but maybe you should have picked a funnier gag, okay? But then the ending of season 7, I think, kind of pulls it back. You see, you have that one Ragnarok episode about the Pope and unlimited energy, and I found that really funny. Just the whole montage of them trying to kill the Pope, dying, trying to kill the Pope again, dying. It's constantly funny. And then you have that season 7 finale, which, oh my god, that just rocks. It's honestly awesome. I you know, everything about that was actually a really good deconstruction of Rick and Morty as characters, and that ending twist was honestly really unexpected. So this brings us to season 8, and season 8 so far, I would go so far to say that I don't think it's had a single bad episode, or even a really mid one, right? You had the episode about the Matrix, which honestly, that is genuinely, you know, I think is a really good concept. It reminds me a lot of the game by Mike Klubner, I think it's Trauma Loop? I think off the top of my head, where, you know, it's about a computer that a government, or I think a commune, uses as punishment, and the whole thing, okay? Insert pyrocynical clip here about him talking about the game, and oh, it's all in the head. And then I think that the show's done a really good, and then we had that really, honestly, that really sweet episode about Rick and Space Beth, which Space Beth, I love that we're getting more of her. I think that's honestly really good, especially because her and Beth really complement each other, because they're both polar opposites of each other, is that their insecurities, their wants is what the other one has, which I genuinely do find a very interesting idea. And I think that was honestly a really good episode. Just, it reminded me a lot of that episode in season 3 inside Fruipyland, where this whole plot got developed on, you know, just seeing a fun adventure between Rick and Beth, and, you know, just watching them actually spend time together as father and daughter and bonding. It's honestly a really sweet episode. And then you had one of, honestly, I think the best Citadel episode, in my opinion, of season 8 episode 3's The Rick, the Mort, the Ugly. Now, listen, I fucking love westerns. Well, okay, I like really interesting westerns, okay? I will die on a hill that Rango is the best western movie ever made. And, you know, getting to see, and this whole concept as well about the getting to explore the aftermath of the Citadel of Ricks, and, you know, the gangs that have formed and the communes and everything that have formed and everything. It's honestly really interesting to see. And then I think you did get the weakest episode of the season, which was the East episode. It was kind of funny. But, you know, the whole thing of like, oh, look at this, Jesus was a hunter to kill the Easter Bunny and things, and it is funny, and, you know, unfortunately it's an episode that I don't really have much to say on. It's not the most standout episode, but it's still one that I would go back and rewatch. I think it's honestly in a very similar vein to, like, episodes like Me, Seeks, and Destroy, I think, where it's just, you know, it's not my personal favourite, but it's funny, and also it's an episode focusing on Jerry, which I also always find funny. And then you had the episode about cryosleep, which, that one's a bit more forgettable, and then, as at the time I'm recording this, season 8, episode 6 has aired about a week ago. I'm recording this on Saturday. Episodes drop for me on Monday, so you should be seeing this video before it goes out, depending on how fast I edit. We'll see. Again, another really good deconstruction of Rick as a father and Beth's as a child. You know, getting to see the trauma and, you know, the regrets and the things that they hold for each other. I thought that was really sweet to see as an episode. Anyway, that has just kind of been my Rick and Morty ramble. Okay. So, shut up, it's my channel, I can do what I want with it, okay? Got it? Capiche? Cool. Okay then, anyway, so, if you did enjoy this video, you know, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. It is just a very rambly video. I didn't have a major script, I just kind of had very loose bullet points and what I wanted to go over. Not offering any deep analysis, because I do, again, think, if you have fallen off watching the show, I think it's kind of worth going to go watch at the moment. I think it's genuinely become a really good show again. But yeah, thank you so much for, you know, spending these few minutes of your day with me, and I'll see you all next time I upload. Bye!